more about flow. So, these are the four phases of flow. These are the most important at a high level, the things that you should know about flow, because as you're going through your flow profile and your flow process, once you identify with how you have experienced each of these different phases in your current life, in your past life, um, you can identify how to transition through each of these phases and have a better flow. So the four phases of flow are struggle, release, flow, and recovery. The first phase, struggle, I consider the groundwork phase. It Struggle typically happens when you're learning new skills, challenging yourself, or learning new information. It usually happens in situations like you're taking a new class, or if you're learning a new exercise routine, or in the research and planning stages for a project. So, usually in the beginning stages of any of these types of activities, you will feel struggle because it's different from what you're used to doing, or it's obtaining new information either verbally or through physical activity and struggle. And again, the easiest way to explain struggle sometimes is when you're like lifting weights, when you're starting to lift weights and you're going through the first initial like repetitions of that practice, you go through struggle. It's important. It's important because then it moves to the next phase, which is release. So in release, you want to let go of any of the anxieties and like tension that has been built up through this struggle. And release typically is best practiced through a mindfulness routine like meditation or deep breathing. And I strongly encourage taking on both of those habits, if not at least one of those habits, to practice your release process because they are free activities to everyone and accessible to you at any point in time. The next phase of flow is flow. So once you've experienced struggle and then taken time to release and let go, once you get back to the activity, you're in the magic zone because you are absorbed, you're learning, you're having a little bit of struggle, but it it feels exciting because you're gaining information. You get lost in what you're doing because it just feels good. They Many people have explained focus is like you're losing a sense of time and the focus is effortless. So just imagine a time in your life where you've been working on something or doing an activity and time has flown by. This is when you're in the flow zone. So a tip here is if you create an environment that is conducive to flow, which is minimizing distractions, making sure that you have a clear goal for the activity, um, and ensuring that you're being challenged at a level that keeps you focused and interested, um, you will have the the most productive or beneficial flow experience. And people call it like deep work flow state, um, magic zone. I like magic zone actually. Okay, so but flow cannot happen forever. Um, this flow process comes in phases, and so I want to make sure that when you are experiencing flow, when you're planning flow activities, that you set time markers because you will lose track of time. And uh, sometimes if you work too long. You may you may end up in more of a crash recovery phase than the recovery phase that I'll explain here, because the next phase of flow after flow is recovery. And taking time here to refuel is crucial. You have to allow yourself to rest, recharge, and let your brain and your body accept and integrate everything that you've experienced through your flow state, because a lot can happen even when you're learning something new, um, or when you're, again, lifting weights and stretching your muscles in a way. They need to relax afterwards. So, tips here are to prioritize sleep, healthy eating, always great things, necessary, and then activities that you enjoy outside of whatever the passion project or work that you're focusing your flow on. You want to make sure to schedule downtime after a flow state so that you don't get caught up, again, in overworking yourself during your flow state, but you also have a period of time that is dedicated to like this downtime. Sometimes some people, I used to do this very frequently. I would schedule a nap, so I'd have like a 15-minute to 20-minute nap as my recovery phase when I was learning. Or it could be something like gentle exercise. I would consider like yoga to be gentle exercise. Um, Nothing that requires you to think too heavily, or definitely not watching TV. Music it can be one, but you really just want to be able to slow down, process, refuel, rest, recover, and make sure that you're not elevating yourself to a point of overwork. Now, remember that flow is a cycle, not a linear process. So you may like go back and forth between phases. Everyone is different. Everyone works differently. Like some people will definitely flow for a lot longer, or some people will recover for a much longer time. Um, but you can figure out your flow. And just remember that if you're having issues with certain parts of the phases, move on to the next phase. Just flow with it. Because the more you flow, the more you flow. And I like to say, like, just as the objects in motion will remain in motion, the benefits of your flow state carry over day to day to day. And I've added here a quote from Steve Kotler, who is one of the founders of the Flow Research Collective. And please, if you haven't already accessed the Flow Research Collective, they have great tools and information if you're interested in more of the background and details behind flow. But as we move into flow, it tends to reset our nervous system. So flow will push out all of the stress hormones out of our system. Just from a general performance standpoint, you're resetting your nervous system. Anxiety blocks flow. So there are a lot of benefits psychologically, emotionally, and performance-wise from doubling down on your primary flow activity. So by incorporating activities that trigger flow into your day, you can experience these benefits and become a more productive, creative, and fulfilled individual. And this is why I'm so excited for you to be here and a part of this community. Next video, we will talk about finding your flow profile.